All right. Hello, everyone. As Nasia said, my name is Gerstmann, Chief Evangelist and co-founder of Sinch. I've been in this space for 22 years, so really happy to talk about a little bit more than just SMS. It's been many, many years of text messaging. Also happy to be here, a fantastic venue. For me growing up, Pall Mall was a street on my dad's Monopoly, so pretty cool to be here. Also, I'm based out of Stockholm, so thank you for arranging the weather to make me feel right at home. Good. Today, what I'm going to do is I want to talk about the evolution of enterprise omnichannel communications. I want to look at digital customer experience in the wider kind of communications mix, enterprise communications mix. We want to look at the evolution of omnichannel, what's happening in our market. That's pretty much what we're going to do today. So let's get going. I'm not going to bore you with this. Sinch, in case you don't know us, we're pioneering the way the world communicates. And we provide scalable cloud communications across voice, email, and messaging. So as you can see, we kind of bought into the whole omnichannel thing already. But let's put it into context. The enterprise communications universe, what is it people do with our type of services? Or even beyond our type of services. So they do marketing, trying to convince people to sign up, to engage, to become customers. Utility messaging, I'm actually using the naming from Meta here. So that's kind of operational alerts, notifications, don't forget your doctor's appointment, here's your bank statement, those kind of messages. You have authentication messages, really proving who you are to be able to sign up, log in, or customize a service for a user. And last but not least, customer care. You have a problem with the service that you're using, you need help, or you have a question. So very much an inbound motion. If we take a step back outside what I believe most people in this room are engaged in and look at the entirety of enterprise communication, and starting with the marketing use case, about $1 trillion are spent on marketing. A little bit less than half of that is still non-digital. The biggest part here is TV, event marketing, sponsoring. A lot of money going into the Premier League in that bucket. Hard for us to touch in this room. A little bit more than half is spent on digital channels, and they're the biggest ones are search, social, digital. Obviously, why the likes of Google, Facebook, increasingly Amazon, are the biggest companies on this planet. So a ton of money being spent here. If you look at our space, rectangles being a little bit crooked there, but you get the gist. Email, text messaging make up a couple of percentage points of the total global spend on marketing. If we move on, we have utility. You have the channels that are in our space, so email, text messaging. For simplicity, we added RCS, which is still quite small, into text messaging. In-app technology, here it's very hard to separate spend on software and actual channel spend. So this is largely software. Push notifications are, generally free. Messaging apps, this is mainly WhatsApp. Have a little bit of voice. Some people still use fax. We have a fax offering at Sinch. We always laugh about it, but it's being used. And here it was hard to break the numbers down, $165 billion are spent on letters still in the world. This is both B2B and B2C. So it was very difficult to split this number, but part of that will obviously be on the B2B side. Authentication. At the foundation of authentication, you have the password. Again, password is free, software costs, but it's, there's no communications cost to passwords. On top of that, a lot of brands use a second factor. So you have the SMS OTPs that we all know and love. Number verify, part of the Open Gateway or Camara suite, would be a substitute coming in here, still quite small and early, I would say. Other kind of non-mobile channels include hardware tokens, so YubiKey or something like that, or biometrics. Again, this is mainly software spend. And then you have a slew of technologies that are totally passwordless, like FIDO. I talked to our MEF ex-chairman Andrew Budd yesterday about decentralized identity. There's a ton of innovation happening in that space. I personally believe, or Sinch, we believe that, short term, there will be change on the OTP side, but longer term, a lot of this market will actually move out of kind of digital customer engagement into other technology that just does this job better. Last but not least, customer care. Obviously, the big one here is voice. So between $300 and $400 billion are spent on contact centers in the world. But this includes the software spend and the spend on agents, which obviously make up the lion's share of this. Also, a lot of calls here are inbound, which are not necessarily paid for by the enterprise. It's actually paid by the consumer. So again, that doesn't end up being an enterprise spend there. Other channels that are prevalent here, of course, email, self-service web portals, live chat, a little bit of messaging apps coming into this space. We have a pretty big number on SMS here. The data, we commissioned actually our own data. Nothing wrong with the MEF data or Mobile Square that we also use quite a bit. But we, as being a listed company, we need to have our own point of view. So this data set includes like a survey after you've had a customer care call. Did you get help, et cetera, which is why SMS is a bigger share here than when I think about SMS in the customer care setting, which is quite clunky and doesn't really work. So that's kind of the macro picture. So if we added this up, it's north of $1 trillion, depending on how kind of voice and post work out. It's 1 point something trillion. If you then move into our space, you zoom in. Marketing. The biggest spend here is text messaging, followed by email and a couple of other channels where we'll zoom in more on what's happening in this space with the arrival of WhatsApp, RCS, and other channels taking over. But marketing very much outbound. And I should say these numbers are excluding China and Russia. We focused on markets where we can operate in a good way. They're unfortunately off the table for us right now. Second, you have utility messaging, $22 billion. SMS again, the gorilla in the room. Large share of the spend in this outbound motion being carried by SMS still today. Thirdly, you have authentication. Again, SMS being huge. The immediacy, hitting the user's phone in a matter of seconds, all of those ubiquity, all of those things is why SMS has been such a success over the years. And then customer care, where, as I already alluded to, SMS is not the most favored channel. Here, of course, voice and email play a much, much bigger role even in our space. So total here, $86 billion. We remember the other number was 1 point something trillion. So digital customer engagement is less than 10% of the total enterprise communications pie, which I think is actually quite good news for all of us. That means there's a lot of growth potential. So if we offer better wares in our part of the market, I think we will be able to grow our pie considerably. All right. So use case, these 4, is the most important factor to determine what's the palette, what's the choice for an enterprise when they go and choose how to communicate with their consumers. It's the most important factor. However, there are a couple of other considerations. Which vertical is the brand active in? What's their positioning? You know, that might rule out certain channels or give them a preference. Where in the world is this communication taking place? And who are they talking to? Are 3 other factors. I think of these as filters. If you have the use case, you know, that's the spread, the smorgasbord, again, if you're going to use a Swedish term. But since you're doing, you know, you're a bank in Germany talking to someone old like me, well, that restricts it to, I don't know, shrimp and salmon. Okay, so starting with the verticals, highly regulated industries, bank, healthcare, government, tend to gravitate towards more traditional regulated channels like email, voice, and SMS. Just we feel it in our business every day. These will typically not lead with new technology. Other firms in other markets or in other verticals tend to be much more innovative, looking much more at consumer behavior. What do you use every day? That's the channel we want to be communicating on. Secondly, and this is a busy slide, I know, but stay with me, geography. And I've taken a market per big region on the planet. Europe got 2, and I'll explain why. But you can cluster these. To the left, we have America and Australia. If you're going to be mean, we can call them laggards when it comes to digital customer engagement. If we go through the bars here, the green is WhatsApp penetration. The orange and yellow are Android, and I see the legend hasn't really built there. Okay, are Android and iOS penetration. The blue are transactional messages, the light blue, and marketing, the dark blue. And this is Sinch data. I think in many of these markets we have a reasonable market share so that it's somewhat representative of the total market. Transactional here being defined as both OTPs and utility messages and care messages. And last but not least, if you look at Thailand way over there, you actually have another light green bar, which is line. And I'll comment more on that when I get to Thailand. But starting from the left, America and Australia, low WhatsApp penetration, low Android penetration. So if we look at what's happening in our world with the rise of conversational messaging, the prerequisites aren't there from a penetration perspective. And penetration is the most important factor because that's, you know, what brands look at. What's my reach? At the same time, in the US, you have a lot of two-way messaging already happening. MMS is a thing. It's the biggest MMS market. It's one of the few markets where MMS works in the world. So the prerequisites of using interactive services over mobile and rich media are there in America. So I also happen to believe America is the biggest potential in this world when it comes to the next generation of mobile messaging. The next trio, Brazil, India, South Africa, you know, let's have them represent emerging markets. High WhatsApp penetration, high Android penetration means they are already there. What we are aiming to become is already happening in Brazil, India, and South Africa. These are the biggest WhatsApp markets in the world, the biggest RCS markets in the world. So Sinch, we did acquisitions in Brazil and India to get kind of a window into what we believe will happen in America and Europe in the future. Next comes Europe, taking a little bit of a middle position. I wanted to highlight the fact that Europe is then not a monolith. Markets can be quite different. If you compare France here and look at the use cases, it's a heavy SMS marketing market, whereas Germany almost has no marketing happening on text messaging. Here, the SMS price plays an important role. Germany is more than double the price of France, so the ROI for marketeers has been poor in Germany and apparently clearly right in France. So this is where the power of pricing really is shown, and something for, I think, all of us, and even more so the mobile operators, to think about when they think about how to price RCS in the future. Last but not least, Thailand represents East Asia, where you have a lot of other OTT channels, whereas we mainly play with WhatsApp in the West. Here you have KakaoTalk, Line, WeChat, etc. So in Thailand, the battle, if you so will, is not between WhatsApp and mobile operators. It's actually between Line and the mobile operators. So Line is increasingly taking share in the enterprise consumer market over there. So depending on where your customers are, that matters a lot on what channels you will want to use to communicate with them. Then who is the person? Now, I'm using the US as an example market here. You see there's a very varying degree of trust between different channels. This is MEF data. You have email at the bottom, then you have the traditional telco channels, the Facebook or Meta trifecta, and some other channels. Consumer preference, really important for the brand to get right. Also age, this is WhatsApp preference. Who are you talking to? Really matters to get the message right. And even here, even within the country, you can have quite large differences between cultural groups. A lot of Hispanics in the US have friends and family south of the border, hence they use WhatsApp, whereas others in the US might not so much. So all of this then comes together to kind of form the backdrop to the brand who ultimately seeks to communicate with the consumers. Two more things, though, to consider that I believe will have a profound impact on our space. One is Gen AI. Using AI-powered chatbots, voice bots, I think is a huge opportunity for brands, both to increase customer experience or improve customer experience, and to just make their lives easier, more efficient, more cost-effective, basically. So handling all of those interactions with consumers on one hand, and actually knowing their consumers, the data mining part on the other hand, which then enables personalization at scale. And I think all research shows if the message is the right message at the right time, using the right channel, that's when you get the best engagement from your customers. So what's then happening in our space? Well, the rise of conversational messaging is probably the most profound change in our space since SMS became mainstream, 15 years ago. So what this will happen is a lot of traffic will move from voice apps, email, SMS into conversational messaging for marketing and utility. And I think it really will open up customer care. All of the stuff that's happening in contact centers now, part of that will move into conversational messaging. So whereas, so that's a net new use case. And whereas customer care is kind of moving in, we see authentication, I believe longer term at least, moving out. So today, SMS, email, voice, so call-outs, flash call are the main channels used. They will remain. We will have number verify join the fun, and then the new OTT channels and RCS. But as said, non-SIM-based channels, I believe, will be the much, much bigger thing over the long run. And what does this then lead to? Well, the overall digital engagement market is growing with about 9%, according to Sinch research. SMS, though, is plateauing. Having been 20 years in this space, we've had uninterrupted growth on the SMS side. Now it's the first time, and we feel it in our business, it's really flattening out. Email and voice keep ticking over, but the big thing is the rise of conversational messaging. So RCS, WhatsApp, and the other channels. That's the huge shift that we stand in front of, or a huge opportunity in my view. And we believe, and this is Sinch opinion, we believe this will give a rise to a messaging duopoly between WhatsApp and RCS. Most important is coverage. Today, RCS has over 1 billion users, WhatsApp over 2 billion. If you were to look at all the Android users in the world, that's 3.6 billion. If you add Apple, which happily enough, they've joined the party, you get over 5 billion, the same ubiquity that you have on SMS. Mobile Squared predicts 2.8 billion users by the end of 2025, so in a year's time on RCS. Massive growth from the 1-point-something billion we have today. Second most important, cost effectiveness. And this, we don't know where it's going to end up. All the mobile operators are deciding their pricing. WhatsApp are changing price every year. So this is going to be really, really fun to watch, to see how it plays out. Perceived privacy and trust. I think that slider needs to go in favor of the mobile operators. Mobile operators make money on traffic. Meta makes money on your data, which leads to both among consumers and enterprises. The trust is higher with the mobile operator controlled channels. Ease of use for the enterprise, billing, onboarding, analytics. Again, early market, we don't know. It's painful on both sides, is our experience. What you would say, though, is the fact that RCS is in the native inbox, not the downloaded app, and SMS opt-ins apply, and you don't have messaging templates, are some kind of profound reasons why ease of use for the enterprise, if you're in SMS today, actually might be tilted a little bit towards the left here. Long-term user experience. Google, Meta are both capable. I believe feature sets will be fairly even over the long term. Channel branding. Some brands are not comfortable living in the same app as WhatsApp, which is such a strong brand. RCS doesn't have a brand. It's a clunky telco acronym that no one knows what it means, but it's neutral. So there's benefits in that. Last but not least, agility. Meta is one global company that's proven to be very, very capable, obviously much, much faster than the federation of mobile operators across the world. So they will move fast. This is both good, but it's also a negative because, predictability is also value. So let's see how that plays out. My final slide, and I know we're out of time, so I'll spend a little bit less time on this than it kind of deserves. We try to do a side-by-side comparison between the business models of WhatsApp and RCS. WhatsApp charges per use case. RCS charges is typically charged basic, single, and conversational. Combine basic and single for this view to kind of reduce the complexity a little bit. Marketing, it's charged per message, on both RCS and WhatsApp unless it turns into a conversation, where there's conversational charging on RCS. Meta are considering to change model completely and go to an auction model on the marketing side. Hasn't happened yet, but let's see. Then the difference would be huge between these two. Utility. Sorry, this is a little bit complex, but you have per message charging unless on the Meta side or WhatsApp side, the utility message is sent in conjunction with a service message, in which case it's free. So quite a different, a huge difference for the brand on how kind of the conversation with the user was initiated. And then obviously the per conversation, which Meta has dropped, but you still have that on the RCS side. Authentication, same. Care, huge difference. Meta unlimited free for care use cases, whereas RCS is charged conversational. So trying to kind of, and then another factor to consider, entry point. If you have a click to WhatsApp entry point, then marketing and utility use cases become free. So again, super important to how the conversation was initiated. Whereas on the RCS side, this doesn't impact the charging model, at least not today. So if you do a Google search, you click to WhatsApp to RCS, does not impact how you're being charged. If you then try to summarize who has the more cost-effective business model where. So if the use case is customer service or marketing and utility that was kind of preceded from a click to WhatsApp or customer care, then WhatsApp is free and most cost-effective. If the use case is a business-initiated conversational marketing or utility use case, well, then actually RCS is more cost-effective because of the conversational charging model. This is a snapshot of today. Try explaining this to a brand, but this is what we live with today. I am certain this is not the last we've heard of it. Things will change here, but it's going to be very interesting to track. And with that, I want to wrap up. Firmly believe digital customer engagement is increasingly important in the overall mix. That trillion and somewhat dollars. We will get more of that into this room. Omnichannel, leveraging multiple types of messaging, voice, email, is a must for enterprises. And why is it? To delight different customer groups. This is true for every brand. To support different use cases. This is true for most brands, because most brands do multiple things. And to be relevant in multiple markets, many brands are multinational. Personalization, Gen AI, instrumental to communicate the right message at the right time at scale across any channel. And finally, conversational messaging is becoming an increasingly important digital customer engagement channel with RCS and WhatsApp dominating. And that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Robert. Thank you. We have time for one question. We'll take one question. Nick Lane jumped in there fast.
Hi, Robert.
By the way, guys, there's going to be time on the breaks and during lunch to ask your questions to Robert. Nick, please.
Thanks. So your numbers didn't include Russia or China.
Correct.
So I've done a quick calculation. So according to Sinch, SMS now is worth about $62.5 billion.
I trust you on this. Yes.
No, that's not what we're saying.
No, but you're saying my numbers say that, so that's what I mean.
What kind of growth then are you seeing to get to that point in SMS? Because obviously that's different to all of the data that we're seeing.
I think I don't have all the details from what the marketing team and our outside agency did. So I don't know. I can't answer the question. I think it's much better if we engage offline afterwards and we can compare notes.
All right, fantastic.